Can a guy be a witch? Throughout history, tales of witchcraft and gender have been completely intertwined. Early records from the 1400s reveal that more than 75% of Europeans who practice witchcraft were identified as women. This fact is highly astonishing to believe, given how primarily female-led the field has been for the better part of 500 years. But even though they are hardly ever represented in popular culture, there are now a lot of males who identify as witches. Watch the video till the end as we tell you about the guys being a witch. Before we tell you about guys being a witch, let's look at why history has never given men in witchcraft their due recognition. The historical image of women casting spells, running through forests in their underwear, and generally sending men to hell in peace is a confused one, because the mythology surrounding witchcraft is closely related to the hunts that have long demonized the witchcraft. Even though men have long been a part of the witchcraft world, women have long dominated the world of witchcraft. In essence, the witch hunts were a kind of gender-based oppression based on the presumption that only women were a contributing factor in witchcraft. They were sexually hazardous, capable of practicing a number of religions, and relied on spirits and nature rather than a god to solve their problems. Contemporary male historians, including feminists like Britain's H.R. Roper, often referred to witches as hysterical women, and when it came to the aforementioned witch hunts, it was primarily women who took the brunt of Christian people's anxieties. This was largely because men were harder to turn into scapegoats than women. As a result of this, the presence of men in these kinds of events, albeit generally in lesser numbers, are hardly mentioned in history books. Despite being punished for their beliefs, witches nonetheless enjoyed various advantages because of their gender. It is a privilege that endures even now, when men account for a relatively tiny portion of witches. However, it's important to keep in mind that the occult depends on feminist principles, and the male participants are aware of this. Even with all of this, the pagan community appears to be equally split between men and women because they think the universe is governed by energies that are equally male and female. The ability for women to become priests, which is uncommon in more mainstream religious traditions, is a huge draw for them. It is worth mentioning here that the kinds of magic that was attributed to male witches differed from place to place. For instance, men were accused of using weather magic in Corinthia, while this form of magic was primarily attributed to women in the western part of the empire. Despite these variations, sizable populations of alleged male witches in the three territories could be distinguished from other social groupings based on their social standing. Contrary to the class structure of the 19th century, a person's status in early modern society depended not only on their property and money resources, but also on their social capital and their reputation. Even while their individual situations varied widely, a statistically significant percentage of people, especially among the major male witches, experienced social obstacles that kept them from participating in social life to varying degrees. Numerous individuals from the middle estates and a handful from the upper estates were accused of being male witches in places like Bamberg. Evidently, most of the men who were punished during the initial Bamberg panics belonged to the lowest social classes, and even during the most significant witch hunts from 1626 to 1630, only 1 in 4 males who were detained for witchcraft belonged to the higher administrative classes. The fact that prior conceptions of male witches approach their subject as abnormal or perhaps impossible is a major challenge. Due to this presumption, male witches have essentially been left out of studies on witchcraft, particularly those that focus on gender-related topics. However, Greek and Latin curse tablets provide proof of the widespread use of magic and the significant male participation in it. These tablets, which were typically made of lead, had numerous written curses on them, including ones on sensual matters, prayers for justice, politics, competition, and litigation. These tablets ranged in antiquity from the early 5th or perhaps 6th century BCE to the 8th century CE, and have been discovered in Britain and every nation surrounding the Mediterranean. It doesn't end there, as Wicca, the witchcraft religion followed by most people around the globe, is said to have been started by a guy named Gerald Gardner. Gerald was a wealthy merchant family member and retired civil servant, and lived most of his life in Asia before returning to England and making the claim that he had discovered a long-running coven in the New Forest. Gardner wrote several books about his experiences, including Witchcraft Today, which was published in 1954. Gerald publicized it and wrote about it, and as a result, he progressively gained notoriety along with several new contacts and gave a lot of folks their Wiccan initiations, as he believed that its survival was crucial for witches. Fast forward to today, pagan men are significantly more likely to identify as witches than as warlocks. This is because the terms pagan and witch, which were once derogatory, have now been revived and reclaimed. Yet, for some reason, the term warlock, which is understood to imply oathbreaker, is still frequently used as an insult. Additionally, paganism is more tolerant of LGBTQ+ people than many other religions. Not only this, the pagan community as a whole has the highest level of support for LGBTQ+ people of any religion affiliation. All in all, recent years have seen a major rise in interest in male witches, as historians try to explain why certain males were accused of practicing witchcraft. That is it from today's video. We hope you enjoyed the content of the video, and if you did, show some love and hit that like button. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so that you never miss out on any of the amazing videos we have in store for you. Before you go, click on the video link on your screen if you want to learn more about the things that every witch should be doing.